Hello my dear friends, you're in the middle of a summary channel. In this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 24 hours. We have lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the Middle East, because this is exactly the point where the major global energy crisis has begun. According to media, Qatar is set to fully shut natural gas liquefaction today, to sources close to the matter say. Restarting natural gas liquefaction after complete shutdown would take 2 weeks. Once restarted, Qatar would need at least another 2 weeks to reach full capacity. Qatar is the second largest LNG exporter in the world. Another important thing, according to information we have, oil storage nears capacity as Hormuz remains blocked. Middle East oil producers are running out of storage as the Iran conflict halts shipments through the Strait of Hormuz. Iraq has already cut production. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates may follow within weeks. JP Morgan warns some producers could hit tank tops in just over 3 weeks unless alternative export routes are used. All these things are happening just because of one thing, because of Strait of Hormuz, because this territory is under complete fire control of the Iranians. And this is the latest satellite picture where we can see the approximate positions of tankers and ships to the west and to the east of the Strait of Hormuz. And now it is Iran that decides which vessel can pass through the strait and which one cannot. According to information we have, during the previous 24 hours, 2 vessels were allowed to cross the Strait of Hormuz, and the Iranians are saying that these vessels belong to the friendly country, to the friendly states of Iran, which is a very interesting situation. At the same time, we received the report that another tanker under the flag of the United Kingdom was attacked by the Iranians. An Iranian missile speedboat targeted a British flagged oil tanker off the coast of Mubarak Al-Kabir port, Kuwait, with anti-ship missile. So these are the things that are taking place right now in the Middle East, but at the same time we now understand and we see the real winner of this situation. And of course we are talking about the Russian Federation, because Russia has no problems to export oil. Russia has no problems to export oil. Probably Ukraine is the only problem for this, because if you remember, 2 days during the previous 48 hours, the Russian tanker was attacked in the area of the Mediterranean Sea. We discussed the situation yesterday. The Russians called this attack as a terrorist attack. From the other side, according to information we have, the Ukrainians don't want to relaunch the Druzhba pipeline that the Russians and the Europeans used to supply and support the states like Hungary and Slovakia with the Russian cheap oil. So everything is very complicated. But we had a report that the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Hungary arrived in Moscow, and he had a meeting with the president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin. So they had a meeting yesterday. Putin received the head of the Hungarian foreign minister in the Kremlin. The meeting was attended by Lavrov, Ushakov and Manturov. The participants of the conversation was discussing issues of energy security and a number of other issues of interest to Moscow and Budapest. And the most important statement was made by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Hungary. He explained why he came to Putin. I am in Moscow to ensure that everything during a crisis we will still have the oil and natural gas necessary for Hungary's energy security, and I am here to obtain a guarantee that the necessary amount of oil and natural gas for our country's energy security will be supplied to Hungary by Russian suppliers at the same price despite the changed circumstances and the global energy crisis. As we discussed, the only problem for Russia to do this is the situation that the Ukrainians are blocking the Druzhba pipeline. But it seems that they will find a solution, the Russians, the Ukrainians, the Slovakians and the Hungarians. And it seems that there is a solution already. The question is how to explain the solution to the Europeans, to the Ukrainians, and of course to the Russians. We're talking about population of these states. So obviously we understand that Russia will be able to earn a lot of money money during this crisis. Furthermore, the Russians will be able to earn so much money, so they would be able to continue not just the special military operation, but probably 5 or even 10 special military operations across the world. So we are talking about this amount of money the Russians will be able to get from this situation. Furthermore, India is increasing its purchases of Russian oil amid the war in the Middle East. Several tankers carrying Russian oil have changed their route and are heading for India instead of East Asia. And probably the most important statement that was made by the president of the Russian Federation is this one. According to information we have, Putin allowed Russia to cut off gas supplies to European markets now, rather than in the months when the first European Union restrictions come into effect. I would like to remind you that Europeans were planning to cut buying Russian oil and gas only at the beginning of 2027, but due to the current energy crisis, the president of the Russian Federation decided to attack first, and he allowed the Russian companies to halt the support and supply of the European countries within months, which is obviously can hit the prices for energy resources in Europe even more, and we will see additional round of growing of prices for the European countries. And the question is when all these things will finish. According to information we have, and according to the Minister of War, Pete Hegseth, he says that war with Iran could last up to 8 weeks. According to Hegseth, the US and Israel expect to achieve uncontested airspace over the country in under a week and unleash death and destruction from the sky all day long. You can say 4 weeks, but it could be 6, it could be 8, it could be 3. Hegseth said, ultimately we set the pace at the tempo. But today several sources stated that the United States of America are making some preparations, and according to these preparations, the conflict on the territory of the Middle East could last until autumn of 2026, which more than several months, which is obviously a big and the biggest disaster for the Middle East and for states like United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain and Kuwait. Furthermore, average US gasoline prices have risen at the fastest pace of the past 2 days since 2025. So this is the situation. So, and of course, the United States of America understand what is happening here. The President Trump understands clearly what is happening, and of course, he understands that first thing he needs is to get some victory, fast victory. It doesn't matter how to call the situation before the midterm elections that will take place in autumn. Because if everything continues developing the same way as we can see right now, there are very high chances that the Republicans may lose the upcoming midterm elections, and this can bring very, very big problems to the Republican Party. So that is why Trump understands that they need to be in a hurry. And of course, to resolve this energy crisis, the United States of America and the coalition must take under complete control the Persian Gulf. And for these purposes, during the previous 24 hours, and basically since the beginning of this Fury operation, from this insane Fury operation, the United States of America attacked a lot of vessels, a lot of ships, a lot of military ships, fight ships, battleships of Iran in the Straits of Hormuz and in the Persian Gulf. Lots of them were destroyed, and this is the way how the United States of America, the coalition, is trying to secure the territory. But it is not enough. It is not enough because the Iranians attack vessels from their side, from their shore, which means that the only way how to stabilize the situation is to create a buffer zone, is to take under complete control at least these territories. And for example, during the previous 24 hours, lots of pictures were published by different companies, by different satellites, where we can see the differences and the changes between the dates along the Iranian shore of the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. As you can see, a lots of facilities were damaged or even maybe destroyed as a result of attacks that were carried out by the United States of America. But it is not enough. It is not enough because once again. Now it is Iran that decides which vessel can pass through the strait and which one cannot. And the only way how to change the situation and to make the situation when the states are going to be the only side to make these decisions is the ground operation. And if you remember, yesterday we discussed the possible ground operation, and there were lots of reports that the coalition began bombing and attacking the western part of Iran. And lots of reports were received exactly from this area. And furthermore, we received lots of statements by different media that the Kurds, the Iraqi Kurds, are preparing themselves to begin a major offensive operation in the western parts of Iran. Later, we received the report that the Azerbaijani forces also brought additional units to the border with Iran, as if they were preparing themselves for something as well. Yesterday, if you remember, we discussed the ethical map of Iran, and we analyzed that the northwestern part of Iran is mainly populated with Azeri and Kurds ethnic groups, not with the Iranian or Persian ethnic groups, which means that if Kurds and Azerbaijanis launch offensive operation in this area, basically they will be made by people and by the groups who are very close to their states and to their fractions or something like this. And of course, yesterday we didn't have enough of updates. Yesterday it was those ideas were just speculations from my side, but today we received additional report on this matter. Different sources continue publishing different analysis on this matter, and for example, today we received this video where we can see lots of aircrafts that were flying above the territory of Iraq in the northern direction. Different sources stated that these aircrafts, these flying of aircrafts, likely indicating that the Americans are continuing to transfer ammunition and equipment to the Kurds. Furthermore, yesterday in the evening, several pro-Israeli sources stated that the Kurds began offensive operation and several thousand soldiers crossed the border with Iran and managed to dig in deeper. Later, this information wasn't confirmed by anything. Anyway, we see that something is brewing in this area. And today we received probably the most important update on this matter, and we are talking about drone attack on the territory of the city by the name of Nakhchivan, which is located on the territory of Azerbaijan. During this morning, we received lots of videos on this matter. In this video, we can see the drone that looks like the Iranian drone, and some sources are saying that this is indeed the Iranian drone. Most of the sources are saying that this is that was an Iranian drone that attacked the territory of Azerbaijan. Probably the only side that reject this information is the Iranians themselves. They're saying that they didn't attack the territory of Azerbaijan. They're saying the same thing as they were saying about the attack on the territory of Turkey. If you remember, yesterday we received reports that a ballistic missile was launched in the direction of Turkey but was brought down by the Turkish air defense. So we see that for some reason the Iranians attacked the city of Nakhchivan. Some military experts are saying that that attack was something like a false flag operation with the purpose to drag Azerbaijan into this conflict. As of now, of course, we can't say anything about this. Everything is possible. But when talking about the drone and that the drone looks like the Iranian drones, it seems that indeed the Iranians attacked the territory of Azerbaijan for some reason. And of course, now the Azerbaijani authorities created something like a media situation, media effect. Now they began explaining their population that it is necessary to start the operation to protect Azerbaijan itself, to protect population. And as you can see, the Azerbaijanis are very close to start talking that it is necessary to protect the Azeri nation, the Azeri ethnic group in the northwestern part of Iran as well. So it seems that most likely the military operation in the northwestern part of Iran is going to start very soon. But this military ground operation will not resolve the issue of the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz, because the northwestern part of Iran is very far from this area, and obviously this is not the solution. But maybe from this perspective, if let's say these groups are able to establish complete control over the most northwestern territory, this will allow the situation when the Azerbaijanis will be able to supply Turkey with oil, for example, through the northern parts of Iran without asking permission of Iran itself. And of course, this can resolve partially the energy crisis of Europe, but to create all necessary infrastructure, it will take time. It will take a lot of time, and obviously this is not a short-term solution. Anyway, let's wait and see what is going to be next, but we see that the situation is very difficult. When talking about the situation in Ukraine, during the previous 24 hours, we received a report that the Ukrainians launched another massive drone attack in the direction of the southern regions of the Russian Federation. And this picture yesterday in the evening was published by pro-Ukrainian sources. As you can see, the Ukrainians used approximately 150 drones to attack the territory of the Russian Federation. The most important thing is that later we received a report that the Ukrainians were attacking the city of Saratov. About 20 explosions were heard over Saratov and Engels. The air defense is repelling an aerial attack by Ukraine drones on the city. Later we have this article where we can see probably night battle between air defense systems of the armed forces of the Russian Federation and drones of Ukraine. The most important thing is that, if you remember, yesterday we discussed that the Russians prepared themselves before the beginning of another massive combined missile drone attack through the entire territory of Ukraine. And for these attacks, the Russians usually use Engels airfield, so this territory. So probably this is the reason why the Ukrainians attacked during the previous night in the direction of the city of Saratov and Engels, because the Ukrainians were trying to ruin Russia's plans on this matter. And due to the fact that the Russians didn't attack the territory of Ukraine between the 4th and the 5th of March of 2026, it seems that the Ukrainians finished or completed their task. The Russians stated that between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m., so basically overnight, the Russians destroyed 76 drones that were flying in the direction of Saratov and somewhere nearby. So the Russians were forced to postpone their massive attack, and probably the next attack or upcoming attack will take place either between the 5th and the 6th of March or maybe tomorrow. Now let's discuss the situation in Ukraine. Pro-Ukrainian sources also confirmed that the Russians during the previous night launched a major attack, massive attack, using 155 drones. The Ukrainians stated that they managed to bring down 136. The Russians once again were attacking objects of energy infrastructure. The Russians were attacking logistic infrastructure. Lots of videos were published on this matter. In this video we can see the substation that was attacked and probably destroyed by Russians in the area of the city of Kharkiv. As for the changes on the ground, we can say that the previous night between the 5th and the 4th and the 5th of March of 2026 probably was one of the calmest nights since the beginning of the special military operation, because we haven't received anything that can confirm additional changes on the ground. But we received lots of videos of how the Russians were attacking the logistics of the armed forces of Ukraine on the main directions. For example, in this video we can see how the Russians attacked the bridges, pontoon bridges between the northern and the southern parts of the river of Volcha, the territory that Ukrainians use to carry out counter-offensive operations in the northern Zaporozhye direction, in the direction of the settlement of Uspenovka. The Russians destroyed the bridge in this area. Another place where the Russians attacked the logistic of the armed forces of Ukraine is the territory to the east of the city of Slaviansk. As for this area, the Russians were attacking Ukraine logistics with FPV drones. As for the Barova direction, according to information we have, the Russians, as a result of attack, destroyed the Oskol dam along the river of Oskol. So the dam was damaged by drones or probably by missiles or by aviation bombs. As a result of attack, the dam was destroyed. Ukrainians lost possibilities to redeploy their forces from one bank to another. And here we can see that the situation is critical, and most likely the Ukrainians will start suffering huge problems with logistics, and the Russians will be able to improve their positions in coming days, while the Ukrainians will try to repair the situation. Furthermore, the Russians are bombing significantly in the northern direction, the settlements of Velika Pisarevka and the villages around. In this video, we can see how Russians were attacking positions of the armored forces of Ukraine in this area with FABs or with those flamethrower systems, and it seems that the Russians are planning to open the 4th or the 5th front line in this direction as well. And that's it for the short video. The Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for your watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.